Hello everyone and welcome to our Greenland and Wild Labrador webinar. My name is Cedar Swan. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Adventure Canada and the host of today's webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Adventure Canada, expedition cruising, and to this expedition. I love each of our programs, but I'm particularly fond of this one as the Torngat Mountains are my favorite place on the planet. On top of that, my husband Jason is from Labrador, so I've got an incredible group of friends and family that hail from this region, and it really feels like a home away from home for me. This is me back in 2003 on my first trip to Labrador. It was my first time to Nunavik and my first time to the Torngat Mountains National Park. It was such an incredible experience. It was the first time that I had felt really humbled by nature, and in a good way. I felt so at peace with being small in a place that was so much bigger than myself. And I'm extremely grateful that I get to visit this incredible place each year. Adventure Canada is a family business. We started off in 1987 and we're proud to celebrate 33 years in the coming season. My father, Matthew Swan, was recently honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award for his trailblazing work in the development of sustainable tourism in the Canadian Arctic. My siblings and I joined him on this special day. Today I run the company with MJ, who's on the right, Alana, who's in the middle, and I'm on the other side of my father, who's holding his award. We are, of course, a travel company, and we specialize in expedition cruising, primarily in Canada and the polar regions, but also to other remote and culturally significant areas around the world. Simply put, we travel with purpose. We're deeply connected to the people and places we visit. Our business relationships are based on friendships and personal connections, and from both a personal and professional perspective, we work to be allies and partners, and we strive always to provide the opportunity for connection. I love this image, and really it's a blueprint for where we go at Adventure Canada. If you see all of those bright lights, for the most part, we stay clear of these thriving metropolises. Instead, we focus on where the lights are dim or not at all. And we do this by ship, small expedition ships to be exact. At Adventure Canada, we do not own our ships, rather we charter the best vessels in the regions we operate. Here is Ocean Endeavour, originally built in 1982. It's undergone a number of major refurbishments, most recently in 2015 when it was converted from an ice-strengthened cruise ship to an ice-strengthened expedition vessel. The key to expedition cruising is Zodiacs. Zodiacs are extremely sturdy and safe small tenders that afford us access to places that have zero or very limited infrastructure. Aboard Ocean Endeavour, we have a fleet of 20 Zodiacs that we use for both Zodiac cruising and for the very practical need of getting us to shore for our experiences on land. Zodiacs are also optimal for taking advantage of wildlife sightings. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, they're great for getting access to places that would be otherwise impossible. Take this beach, for example, in southern Labrador. You can see MJ here meeting our Zodiac and bringing it into a very shallow and sandy shoreline. From here, we'll pull the Zodiac up onto the beach and we'll step in our rubber boots into the water and then up onto the shoreline where we can then explore this incredible landscape. Zodiacs also allow us to access places like Eclipse Sound. This is a place at the northern tip of Labrador, and we visit it on our Greenland and Wild Labrador expedition. But just plain and simple, Zodiacs are a lot of fun. You get out into the fresh air, you cover large tracts of waters with great folks who are sharing the adventure with you. Another key component included in our expedition cruises are visits to communities. For the most part, we plan a combination of places that rarely see visitors or are notable cultural hubs. In communities, we always have a planned program included in your expedition cost. Expedition landings are the third component included in any Adventure Canada program. Here we have the opportunity to learn about natural history and visit archaeological and historic sites. Sometimes we even come across new sites of interest, such as this archaeological one that we discovered this past September in northern Labrador. Part of the work we do is reporting on conditions of known sites and documenting any new ones that we come across. It would simply be impossible for the governing bodies to get across the entire Arctic each year to monitor the condition of the thousands of sites along the coastline. So we take great responsibility in keeping track and looking for the sites and ensuring that an accurate state of their condition is known each year. At each landing, we break into smaller groups, either based on subject matter. For instance, you could join a photography workshop, explore the tundra with a botanist or geologist, sketch with an artist in residence, or go on a hike with an ecologist or cultural ambassador. At other times, we separate based on physical fitness desires. For instance, we regularly have strenuous, long, medium, and short hikes, as well as options for beachcombers. We're able to offer this diversity because of the size of our expedition staff. Our teams range from 30 to 35 staff members. We operate with a ratio of 1 expedition staff for every 7 clients. When we add our ship's crew who provide our onboard care, we're at a service ratio of 1 team member for every 1.5 guests. We curate our teams to offer depth and diversity. A key component of this is hiring local. Our expedition team rotates regularly to provide the best expertise and local perspectives for any given area we travel in. Here are a few of the Labradorian staff from our Greenland and Wild Labrador expedition this past fall. While much of our learning is hands-on in the natural environment, we also offer an immersive program on board. It's busy, and you need to pick and choose what appeals to you the most. We have on average between 3 and 5 lectures or workshops a day, in addition to your shore excursions. While each expedition is different, you can expect. We always travel with a musician and regularly have storytellers, artists, and authors travel as an integral part of our team. You can expect participatory workshops and discussions throughout your voyage of discovery. And we also have some fun traditions, including a polar plunge. There's no age limit and no excuse. My daughter Isla, on the right there, jumped into Eclipse Sound this year and currently holds the record for the youngest dipper at age 3. And we have a number of other great inclusions, including our camera program. We've partnered with Nikon Canada and have a loaner program where you can sign out and use our Nikon cameras and lenses throughout the voyage at no cost. You'll also receive a complimentary expedition jacket to keep you warm and dry. We have a few paid enhancements that you can take advantage of, such as kayaking, mountain biking, and on select programs, we have scuba diving. For those of you wondering about seasickness, rest assured the Ocean Endeavour is a sturdy ship built for Arctic waters. It's fully equipped with an Ice Class 1B hull and state-of-the-art stabilizers. Ocean Endeavour has great deck space, and the deck is the best place to spot wildlife while sailing, but we also hold group activities such as yoga, barbecues, and artisan workshops outdoors. We have a hot tub and a pool, and the deck is a great place to start the day or to unwind at the end. Inside we have ample public space. We have 3 public lounges and our Explorers Club, Compass Club library, and the Polaris restaurant. Our meals are open seating, and you can come and go as you please to any of the public rooms as it suits your schedule. We have 10 different types of cabin accommodations, ranging from a quad cabin, which is great for singles or families, to our suites. We have both interior and exterior cabins, and all of them have private baths. Here we come to our Greenland and Wild Labrador program. This is an epic voyage of discovery, covering 2,250 nautical miles and a multitude of ecozones. Let's have a look as we explore Greenland, Nunavik, Nunatsiavut, Labrador, and Newfoundland. One of the things that makes this voyage so special is that it's led by an Inuk from Nunatsiavut. This is Jason Edmonds, our expedition leader, and my husband. Jason was born and raised in Labrador. He's an expert Zodiac driver, bear guard, and the only Inuit expedition leader in the business. Jason grew up hunting, fishing, and bringing visitors to coastal Labrador with his father, Randy Edmonds. This past summer, Randy also joined the Adventure Canada team. Together with a host of other Inuit, we were led through their homeland. There's nothing like local knowledge, expertise, insight, and passion to create a profound experience. We're proud of our family connection to the region, and Jason and I always travel with our two girls, Charlotte and Isla, on this expedition. It's one of my great joys to be able to host this expedition annually. Toronto is where we begin our journey. It's a convenient and affordable hub for flights from Canada and around the world. The evening before our expedition, we gather at our group hotel near the airport for a meet and greet. Here you'll have the opportunity to mingle with your fellow travel mates and meet our expedition team. You'll get fitted with your expedition jackets, we'll introduce our staff, and together we'll go through the plans for the next day. Our goal is to have you prepared and comfortable for the travel day ahead. Toronto is a great place to come in early. You can visit such highlights as the Royal Ontario Museum, the Art Gallery of Ontario, and the excellent Inuit art collections of the McMichael and Feely Fine Arts Galleries. We start our voyage of discovery with an early morning charter flight from Toronto to Kangerlussuaq, Greenland. Formerly Sonderstrom Fjord, Kangerlussuaq means the Big Fjord, and there's no doubt about that, as the 170-kilometer long fjord is one of the longest in Greenland. The area has been home to Inuit and their ancestors for 4,000 years. The modern community we know now has its roots in World War II. Bluey West 8, as it was known, played a critical role for aircraft ferrying back and forth from North America to Europe. It also served as a supply station for the distant early warning bases of the Cold War era. We'll land at the former military base, now International Airport, and make directly for Camp Lloyd, where our Zodiacs await to whisk us away to the Ocean Endeavour. Our hotel crew will be eagerly awaiting you, ready to make you comfortable after your full day of travel. Steaming down Kangerlussuaq Fjord, we'll cross the Arctic Circle and keep a watchful eye out for the Aurora Borealis. Our first full day in Greenland is an incredible one. We'll have the opportunity to get out and explore by Zodiac the incredible landscape of Kangerlussuaq. I grew up knowing this fjord by its Danish name, Evighedsfjorden, or in English, the Fjord of Eternity. It takes its name from its sprawling nature, with each inlet opening up to another and another. We'll have the privilege of getting out at the face of a glacier, where we can Zodiac and kayak at the bottom of towering mountains and search for wildlife. This is an excellent place to begin our examination of climatic change. This diagram shows the Kingwa-Kwatilik Glacier termination. If I can draw your attention to the yellow arrow, this is where the glacier terminated in 2000. The red arrow showcases the termination in 2018, a total of 2.2 kilometers over an 18-year period. Earlier scientific records indicate that between 1850 and 2009, The glacier retreated 1.5 kilometers over a span of 149 years. I first visited here in 1994. Some of the glacier faces I explored in the mid-90s no longer have ice. Rather, we see barren rock faces. It's been startling to witness these changes firsthand. A little bit more about Greenland. At 2,184,700 square kilometers, it is the largest island in the world. From north to south, it covers 2,700 kilometers. For reference, that's a similar distance of the entire eastern seaboard of the United States, right from the southern tip of Florida to the Canadian border. And about 80% of this island is covered by ice. Nuuk is the capital city of Greenland. The population is about 17,000, and it's a hotbed of activity. I've recently heard it dubbed the new Nordic city of culture. Nuuk itself has a rich history, and much of our organized time is spent exploring the old colonial town. A highlight is our time spent at the Greenlandic National Museum. The prime attraction there is the Kilikutsuk mummies. These 500-year-old mummies found in 1972 are the best preserved human remains ever discovered in North America. Found near Umanak, the 2 grave chambers contained 6 adult women and 2 children. The museum also has a large collection of skin boats, dog sledges, and an extensive collection of art, photography, and traditional Greenlandic dress. It is worth spending at least 2 hours here. Outside of the old colonial harbor, we can really see how old and new are blending in a vibrant and exciting way. There's the Nuuk Art Museum, Katwak Cultural House, the Parliament Buildings, street art, and a great new Nordic cuisine and artisan craft beer scene. You can pay a visit to the meat market or many excellent shops where Greenlandic designers and brands are featured prominently. Pick up a fashionable new dress, traditional kiviuk, antler jewelry, or the well-known shamanistic tupiliks before we set sail for Canada. Crossing the Davis Strait gives us the opportunity to get to know each other and get underway with our educational program. Throughout the course of this expedition, you can expect programming of some sort when we're not on shore. This can range from introductory lectures on seabirds, geology, anthropology, to small group workshops. For instance, you can see Dylan offering instruction on how to make the best use of the spotting scopes and how to use your binoculars. Other examples are GPS workshops, watercolor painting, sewing, songwriting, Inuit games, and sampling of traditional country food. It's also a chance to share and teach traditions. Here my daughter Charlotte, who is 6, is learning to light and tend the kurlik, like so many other strong Inuit women before her. Sea days are also a great time to get out on deck. The sky, the light, the movement of the ocean. It can be magic. We enter Canada in Inuit Nunavik. This is the name for the 4 Inuit regions of Canada. And on this expedition, we'll call in at 2 of these regions, Nunavik and Nunatsiavut. Our time in Nunavik will be at Kangaswalujwak. You may also be familiar with this community by its Anglo name, George River. There's an active movement to repatriate the original Inuktitut names, and at Adventure Canada, these are the names that we use. Kangaswalujwak is such a warm and welcoming community. It's home to just over 700 people. Adventure Canada was the first expedition company to ever bring a ship to the community, and we've developed a special friendship with the people here. Throughout our visit, we will have a formal community welcome. We'll hear from community leaders, educators, musicians, and have a chance to hear throat singing, try a square dance, and just get to know each other. There are some wonderful artisans here, and you can expect to see carved jewelry, bone carvings, knitwear, and other fine textiles. Our next few days will be spent in the Torngat Mountains National Park. This is really an unknown jewel in our national park system. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the park here as I run through some imagery from our expeditions over the past few years. Our intended expedition stops are Eclipse Sound, Rama Bay, Nukbak Fjord, and Sadlak Bay. The park itself is a whopping 9,700 square kilometers. It spans from Ungava Bay to the Labrador Sea. It encompasses two distinct and contrasting landscapes: the George Plateau and the Torngat Mountains. Our time will be spent on the eastern coast of Labrador, where we'll have the chance to explore the mountainous landscapes and deep fjords that characterize this area. We'll find the highest mountains in Canada east of the Rockies. There are still over 40 small glaciers high up in the mountains, the only glaciers left in eastern continental North America. At water level, we'll see classic U-shaped glacier-carved valleys, hanging valleys, and other notable geological features. Over the past 3.9 billion years, there have been at least 5 major geological events. The slow repetition of tectonic events is called the Wilson cycle. And there are a few places where it can be seen as clearly in the rock record as in the Torngat Mountains. There are about 330 species of vascular plants and 220 species of mosses and liverworts. There is no real forest in the park except for dwarf spruce, but we'll find low-growing Arctic tundra shrubs. In the fall, we regularly see evidence of bears having feasted on berry plants such as low mountain cranberry, bearberry, and crowberry. The subarctic terrain supports a variety of boreal and Arctic wildlife, including caribou, polar bear, black bear, wolves, fox, lemmings, voles, and Arctic hare. Minke whales and seals are commonly seen in the fjords we sail through. For the birders, we may spot a number of warblers and sparrows, as well as black guillemots, rock ptarmigan, red-throated loons, snowy owls, and rock. We may have the opportunity to see a few species at risk, including harlequin ducks, peregrine falcons, Barrow's goldeneye, and short-eared owls. The Torngat Mountains National Park is a wild and vast wilderness. It's easy to forget that this area has been touched by human hands. But in fact, the archaeological record shows that Inuit and their ancestors, the Paleo-Eskimo and Thule people, have inhabited this area for close to 7,000 years. We'll stress the opportunities to dive deep into Inuit culture, history, political movements, relocation, reconciliation, and present life while in the heart of Nunatsiavut. For many Inuit in Nunatsiavut and Nunavik, the Torngat Mountains are a spiritual homeland. The park is an example of Inuit leadership, and at present it is the only national park in Canada managed by and employing 100% Inuit. Together we'll learn about the incredible human and natural history of the Torngat Mountains National Park. We've got 3 exceptional days in one of the most remote parks in Canada. Hebron is a National Historic Site just south of the park. For our journey, this is the epicenter of the Moravian legacy in coastal Labrador. The Church of the Brethren, or Moravians, established 9 missionary posts in northern Labrador. They chose sites where Inuit frequently camped, hunted, traveled, or gathered annually, as their ultimate purpose was the Christianization of the Inuit of Labrador. The Moravian presence has had a deep impact on life in Labrador. For many years, life centered around a number of missions along the coast. New forms of education, cultivation, and of course spirituality were introduced. Today there are many that still worship in the Moravian churches along the coast. Our 2 daughters, Charlotte and Isla, were baptized in the Moravian church in Nain. The Hebron mission was founded in 1830. Architecturally, the mission is really interesting. It's a prefab building built in Germany with a steep elongated roof punctuated by small dormer windows. There's been recent restoration work done on the main mission building, and a number of the others are in a state of dilapidation. The Inuit community had succeeded here for thousands of years because of the rich hunting, fishing, and sealing grounds. However, modern authorities were challenged by the prospect of providing adequate health, justice, and educational services to the people of Hebron, and the mission closed in 1959. The people of Hebron were relocated to a number of other communities further south in Labrador. As with every other forced location I've learned about, there are serious practical, social, spiritual, and cultural ramifications that are present to this day. In 2005, then Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Danny Williams offered an official apology to the relocatees of Hebron and their families on behalf of the province. The beauty of this place is coupled with the complicated and heartbreaking human story. Here we are in Nain. The first thing you'll notice about Nain is that it has trees. We're south of the tree line here. And Nain is a place that I have a wonderful personal connection to. This is where my husband Jason is from. The population of primarily Inuit hovers between 12 and 1,300. Nain is the administrative capital of the Nunavik government. Our time here is spent exploring by foot. We'll call in it the Nunavik government building, the Moravian church, the artisan center, Nigivit, the food security center, the community shed, and hopefully in 2020 we'll be able to take in Ilusuak, a community center now undergoing construction. There will be the opportunity to meet local people, including an accomplished group of artisans who will have jewelry, sculpture, and sealskin clothing and accessories available for sale. Over the next 2 days, we'll explore the coastline of southern Labrador. The area is dotted with islands and bays and is particularly good for marine mammal and bird watching. You'll notice a more gentle landscape, and we'll learn about the Innu settler and Viking history through the immersive onboard and onshore program. For many, L'Anse aux Meadows is an important reason for booking this expedition. It's the only authenticated Viking site in North America. The Viking sagas ultimately led archaeologist Anastine Ingstad and her husband Helge to the discovery of L'Anse aux Meadows, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There are so many fascinating elements of L'Anse aux Meadows. Of course, there is the Viking story. There's also an indigenous story. And then there's the dramatic story of the site's discovery. We'll visit the excellent Parks Canada Visitor Centre and receive expert interpretation at the archaeological site and the reconstructed village. Newfoundland is beautiful in the fall, and our last full day on the ship will be spent on the iconic northeast coast. We'll get out hiking, Zodiac cruising, and kayaking. We plan to land in the Newman Sound area, where we'll be able to experience the natural beauty of Newfoundland. Canada's youngest province, Newfoundland and Labrador joined Confederation in 1949. The island of Newfoundland, like so many other regions in Canada, is huge. It's Canada's 4th largest and the 16th largest island in the world. The northeast coast is characterized by tuckamore. If you're unfamiliar with this term, this may be your first lesson in Newfoundland lingo. Tuckamore is wind-blown spruce trees commonly found along the coastline. Newman Sound provides excellent opportunities for lovers of animals, with a variety of whale and porpoises and bird life, such as murres, eiders, and terns calling this area home. It's always a highlight to see bald eagles perched in the treetops as we make our way through the sound. We'll be able to hike among the black and white spruce and balsam firs typical of this area. Our voyage of discovery ends in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador's provincial capital. You may have seen iconic colorful houses lovingly referred to as Jellybean Lane in the excellent Newfoundland and Labrador tourism ads. We offer a transfer to either the airport or our group hotel at the end of the expedition. Hopefully, you'll have time to explore this colorful city. Its culinary scene has exploded, and the streets are packed with high-quality restaurants and pubs. It's worth the time to explore the city's colorful past with visits to Signal Hill, Fort Amherst, the Basilica, and the Provincial Gallery and Museum, The Rooms. You could stroll the streets of St. John's for days and continually be entertained.